Welcome back. Welcome back once again to your number one source for education, information, and inspiration on what I feel is the most underrated career opportunity in business today. You should get a license. And this is the podcast edition. Really excited about this episode because, our guest is someone who, as I say, started from the bottom and now he's here. He got into the insurance industry, started as an agent with a large organization, one of the largest in the country, branched off in 2017, started his own agency and company based in Cleveland, Ohio. Prior to being in insurance, he was a lettered athlete, D1 football athlete and player at the University of Iowa and University of Toledo. After that, he became a coach. He found his way into the insurance and financial services world and continues to add value using the discipline and lessons from the gridiron, now in the boardroom and serving and helping his clients and C-suite executives. Really excited to have him on the platform. I want to welcome to the show the president of the Morrow Group, Mr. Diauntae Morrow. Diauntae, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Hey, thank you once again, for being here. We were talking a little bit before we started recording just about, how it's really important for, African Americans to be present in this business and particularly, men like yourself, to be positive examples and taking your skills and showing that even if you started in one direction, you can apply those skills in the financial services industry as well and continue to add value. So before we even get started in the interview, I just want to say thank you for, the example that you're setting out there for everyone who is looking at you and those that'll continue to come after you.
I'm trying. I really try to I want to try to set an example. And, I've always looked at myself as a leader. So lead the way, create a path. And let some of my peers or some of the people that come after me or some of the young ladies, men and gentlemen that I mentor that, there's another way outside of picking up a basketball or football or baseball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, this platform is really geared towards, individuals who might be exploring. Maybe they had an interview, with an organization. They're trying to figure out if this is going to be the step for them. Maybe they had a friend or a relative that was in the business, or maybe they're just, at a place in life where they're looking for something new and they see this conversation. They say, hey, look, I think that might be a direction I want to take. In our industry, there's a lot of different market segmentations, a lot of different paths and roads that we can go on. First, I just want to hear a little bit about, your area of specialty and what you guys actually do at the Morrow Group.
Well, we write just about everything except for health. We write life insurance, all P&C. If we have to specialize in anything, we specialize in working with high net worth individuals. I'm very familiar with that industry and that realm, seeing that I was a collegiate athlete. I had some professional opportunities and on the player side, and I also coached at a Division I college, Division I AA college. So those are where my connections and my love lies, always with sports. And I have my circle. I have a very big and very unique circle of individuals that I'm familiar with, both on the insurance side and on the risk management side from an athlete standpoint. So that is what I say we would specialize in.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So you're working with individuals, you're working with some life, you're working with some property and casualty. Many times people may feel like, hey, if I step into the space, I have to do, one thing or this thing. And it sounds like you kind of diversified, your firm so that you can cover a wide spectrum of clientele that walk through the door. Nothing left on the table, so to speak.
I think insurance is one of those industries where you don't necessarily have to lock yourself in one box. If you want to, by all means, if you find something you love and you find a niche, by all means, take full advantage of what you love and that niche. But for me, it's about being able to connect with my clients on all levels.
Yeah.
It's about being able to say, hey, I'm a one-stop shop here. It's about being an expert in the field, and to where some people think you know, commercial insurance and personal insurance are two different beasts. I actually think they go hand in hand.
Mm, yeah, interesting philosophy. I want to get into that as we continue into the conversation. One of the questions that I always like to ask, just to start at the beginning. And I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So,
Okay.
Growing up, no one thinks about becoming an insurance agent, as a child. Not anyone that I've met, right? So,
Correct.
what was your dream occupation when you were growing up, when you were young?
My dream occupation was to be a professional NFL player, to be a professional athlete. That was my dream. That was my goal. That was my passion from about the age of maybe 8 to 25, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know prior to entering the industry, you were coaching as well. So
Yes, sir.
can you take me back, like from the beginning, and kind of bring me up to how you got to this point here, starting? I mean, you can even start at 8 and say, hey, I played my little league. I blew everybody out. And I continue to move up. Kind of take us on that journey, please.
I'm not going. I won't give you the brown sugar or how I fell in love with hip hop story. But I mean, I grew up. I grew up in the inner city of Cleveland, and that was quote unquote our way out. To play a sport, to give yourself an extra opportunity to get out of the inner city, to create something bigger and better of yourself. For a long time, I was locked in that mind frame of, hey, you're gonna get yourself, out of the inner city, but the only way you can do it is by playing football. So I put my all into it. I put my all into football, and I kept that dream, and I fought hard to make sure I provided myself with some extra opportunities alongside the support of many of my family and friends. And what the first experience to where my eyes kind of widened was my transition from being at an inner city elementary school to I went to St. Edward High School, which is it's an all boys private school, but it's a very diverse private school, and we like to say the cream of the crop goes there, and that was my first experience to where I actually seen like, hey, you don't have to actually be an NFL, you don't have to be a professional athlete to actually make money. The guys that wear the suits make more money than the guys that wear the jerseys. Because a lot of my classmates, man, I mean, literally, I caught the bus. My bus ride every day for the first 2.5 years of my high school career was 1 hour and 30 minutes. Wow. That was my bus ride every day. I remember it vividly. I would catch the 326 from 123rd and St. Clair all the way. It would take me 1.5 hours to get to school. It was one bus ride, but I mean, it was a journey every day, there and back. It was 1 hour, and so 3 hours out of my day consisted of me riding on public transportation. But during that time frame, I met and networked with a lot of great people. Some of them are still my mentors today, but it brought my horizon because a lot of my classmates were riding around with Range Rovers and Lincolns and Cadillacs and brand new Jeeps, and they lived in the suburbs, and they had infinity pools, and they lived in $200,000, $350,000 homes, and they took vacations, and they had more than one home. They had a vacation home in Florida or California and things of that nature, where I was just like, hey, what is your dad doing? And it's like, oh yeah, hey, he's in the business world. Like, the only people I know that make that kind of money are you're either you're a professional athlete or you're a drug dealer. and that, that's how I grew up. But being at St. Ed's, it was a life-changing experience for me, because it then let me know that, hey, it's okay to have a plan B.
Yeah.
Because initially my plan B was my plan A, and we're not going to stop until we make it to plan A. So I train hard every day. People don't know this, but when you train to be a professional athlete, it's you lose a lot of your childhood. You miss out on family outings, but it's that sacrifice you make to actually get to where you need to be. Whenever you want to be successful, it's going to be, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot of things. But specifically when you want to when you're striving to be a professional athlete to play in the NFL, well, first you got to become a Division I athlete. Mm-hmm. Then that was my dream anyways, to become a Division I athlete. I conquered that goal. I wanted to become at least a 2-year starter. I conquered that goal as well. But the higher up you go, the harder it is to be successful, because literally 1% of all collegiate athletes or collegiate football players make it to the NFL. It's literally only 1%. So that percentage is very low. So your success rate is very minimal. So you have to be the best of the best. In order to do that, you have to work hard. You got to eat. It's not a job. It's not something you do in your spare time. It's a lifestyle. And still to this day, because of my experience, as a collegiate athlete and as a coach, I bring that in the insurance industry. My competitive nature, my tenacity, my will and want to be successful, and to make sure that I accomplish all my dreams in this industry, and to make sure that I can help and lead other individuals in accomplishing their dreams in this industry. That's my passion.
Yeah.
That's what I want to make sure that, that I'm continuously creating a path for others, while also continuing to grow as a mentor to some, of course, as a father to my 2 boys, and to my clients as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Diauntae, man, I love that, because one of the things you mentioned, sacrifice a few times in that conversation, and from what I'm hearing, I mean, it sounds like some of the same type of sacrifices that you made as an athlete to make sure that you were always on your best, to make sure that you stayed in the gym those extra hours. You ran the extra laps, you did whatever was necessary, lift the extra weight, whatever was necessary, watch the tape, the film, all the things that you need to do before you actually step on the field, are some of the same things that allowed you to develop the discipline and work ethic to start to build your own business and be successful in this industry as well. So, yeah. And you've translated that to, you played, you coach, you mentor, young people, and still, are involved in coaching and get to do it on your own terms. So tell me, you're in college, you're playing, you're top tier. I mean, D1, you're top tier, right? What was the transition that shifted the focus from football to coaching first and then the insurance industry? Was it a person you met? Was there something that you saw? I know you were exposed to different perspectives in school, but what was the event that took place for you?
I would say I didn't get drafted.
Okay.
So I didn't get drafted. I was one around that time. I ended up having my first son, he's 9 now, and I was an NFL free agent. I had a couple workouts. In the NFL, had 2 or 3 workouts with a couple teams. I had some CFL workouts. That's the Canadian Football League. I had 2 or 3 workouts up there. And, you know, to be quite frank, man, I've always been somebody, I don't like others being in control of my destiny or my fate. I've never been a fan of that. So, you know, my agent is saying, hey, listen, you got a good shot, stay ready, stay active, so on and so forth. I'm just like, hey, man, I'm not making any money. You know, I'm not making any money. And, you know, one, as a man, you know, I want to make sure I can provide for my son. So that was one. And two, I don't like waiting on people. I'm a go-getter. You know, I mean, just by nature, I'm a go-getter. So somebody's telling me, hey, just wait your turn, you know, just wait and see what happens. This team might need somebody in 2 weeks. That team said they'll look at you again in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm just like, hey, man, I'm great at math. 2 weeks is 14 days.
Yeah.
You know, 3 weeks, you know, maybe 2 to 4 months, maybe mid-season. Hey, man, you're giving me these time frames where, you know, I'm not necessarily going to be able to possibly provide for my child. So, but I still had love for the game. So I reached out to some of my former coaches and people I had good relationships with, and one of my former coaches ended up getting a head coaching job. And for people that don't know about the college coaching world, man, it's literally tough.
That's competitive too.
I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal. But we had built a great rapport, a player-coach rapport, and by the time I got to Toledo, I was older. I had a great, and I was around a lot of younger guys, so I kind of took the big brother role. I see some of the guys, and I talk to them often, and they still, I'm big brother. So I'm big brother, or some of the younger guys, they call me Unc, which is even worse. But no, man. I guess me being a leader and being older, you know, a vet during that time frame, I kind of took the secondary, like a coaching role, a player coach role. I kind of mentored a lot of the guys, made sure, you know, if they needed extra film study, so on and so forth. So a lot of my coaches always say, man, you're gonna make a hell of a coach one day. And of course, as a player, with a mind frame of going in the NFL, like, hey, I don't want to coach. That's not going to work for me. Mm-hmm. I want to play for multiple reasons. One, because that was the goal I set as a little kid. Two, like, coaching is not a thing that you really grew up saying, hey, I want to be a coach either. You know, at that time frame, that's what my mentor was as a 18, 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old young man. You know, I wanted to play. I wanted to play ball. I wanted to step on the field under the spotlights and showcase everybody that I made it. You know, but I ended up with that opportunity. I coached at Davidson College. It was a great experience. I actually learned a lot about myself during that time. It's funny because, you know, 18, 19, when you go to college, you're on your own, you live by yourself, and you pay your own bills. You know, you feel that you get that first sense of freedom, and you know, it's a great feeling, but you're still learning. So you know, it's a lot of things you think you know, but you really don't know, and not just about the world, but about yourself. And you know, being that I had to do a lot of different things as a coach. I learned a lot about myself, both good and bad, and some things that I need to change. But overall, it was a great experience for me. I got to network with a lot of great people. I got the opportunity to meet a lot of great young men who I still talk to some right now. One of them is going to school to be a doctor. The other gentleman he's on a world tour or a U.S. tour right now. He's traveling the country. So But a lot of the young men that I recruited I mean, they're doing great, man. And that's one thing I like. I'm proud of them, and I take pride in saying, hey, I played a small part in these young men and to helping these young men be successful. So from there, even though I met a lot of great young men, the college in that world, it's about results. And the fact of the matter is, we didn't win any games. We won a couple, but we didn't win enough. So we were relieved of our duties, and I had a lot of opportunities to coach at a lot of different places, man. And it just didn't make sense for me to continue my coaching career at that time. So I moved back to Cleveland from Charlotte, which people always say, why?
Right.
But wanted to be closer to my son. I had one son at the time. I now have two. But I wanted to be a part of my son's life. As a coach, man, it's tough to be a part of your son's life if you are in the same household. So to be 8.5 hours away, man, kind of never set well with me. But you have to do what you have to do to provide. And I made sure I saw him every time I got home. But I moved back home, and from there is actually when this entire thing sparked, with my return back to Cleveland. I was just applying for jobs and randomly got a call for one of the top insurance companies in the world, and had a job opportunity. Got the job, passed my test with no problem, and became one of the top salesmen in that call center. And as I'm starting to do my research, because I knew at that time it was just a starter job, I actually found like deep, very interesting interest in how the insurance industry works.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I was just like, hey, this is a very interesting industry I'm in right now. And I kind of just gained a love for it. And like I said, I will always have a passion for sports. And my initial process was, hey, like, why don't they teach us these things in college or just in general? Nobody ever sits down and says, hey, this is why you need car insurance. This is why you need an umbrella policy. This is why you need life insurance. This is why you need business insurance, so on and so forth. And I literally would come home and do research every day. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do this with, I'm going to combine both. I'm going to combine insurance and sports together. So as I'm game planning and business planning to leave that company I was at, I ended up getting another opportunity to work with a private agency where I worked. So at the Fortune 500 insurance company I worked at, I was on the personal side. At the private agency where I worked specifically with athletes and entertainers. So some of the guys, literally the guys you see on TV in the All-Star games, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, just golf, whatever, any of those elite players were some of the clients that I managed their accounts. And I had them on speed dial, and I would talk to some of these individuals maybe 3 or 4 times a month. On the commercial side, I learned so much. I learned so much in the experience, and that just solidified it. Like, hey, you can do this. And now, because you've had the best of both worlds with being at a Fortune 500 insurance company and a big time private agency, you got this. You can make this happen for yourself. So, I just I took a leap of faith. I put my 2 weeks notice in, and a couple of years later, here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, man. Well, you started your agency in 2017.
Yes, sir.
So, you started it. There was a saying. I remember when I got licensed, one of the gentlemen who I spoke with early in my career said that, look, if you go 3 years in this business, it's a lifetime from there. That's it. Like you're not going anywhere else. Is that how you felt, from your career, starting with the larger organization and the private organization, now starting your own business? Do you feel like, okay, now this is your space, this is your baby, this is where you are?
You know what? I guess yes and no. So like I said, when I'm locked in on something, I have tunnel vision, and the competitive nature in me will not let me fail. So, I did. I would come home and research everything, literally everything. I still go home. When I leave the office, I still come home and research stuff now. So once I said, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I never even thought about the years or days or anything like that. I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. So yeah, this is literally what I'm doing. It wasn't, it wasn't an afterthought.
Yeah. It just continues to kind of just build on itself.
Yeah. We're going to ride this thing, and we're going to ride this wave, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So like I said, I've always been a go-getter. I've never been one to, sit around and wait on others. And that's one great thing about this industry. You don't have to.
That's right.
I don't have to wait on somebody to give me the approval to go get new clients, to make more money. I don't have to wait. I can just do it. I don't have a head coach that's going to say, hey, well, we want to go, we want to go another route, in our coaching staff, and you don't fit that. You don't fit what we're looking to do. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So now it's just, hey, let's just keep building and build. Let's keep building these bricks, and there's no ceiling on how high the bricks are going to go.
You're the master of your own fate.
You're the master of your own fate.
Absolutely. So, making that transition, real quick, as I listen to your story, it makes me think about, I don't know, there's a film called The Last Fall. A gentleman named Matthew Cherry directed it, had Lance Gross, Vanessa Bell Calloway. It was about an athlete. He was a pro athlete. He had lost his contract in the movie, and then he had come home, but he was waiting on a new contract, trying to figure something out with a new team. And one of the things and it was based on a true story, because Matthew Cherry was a NFL player. I think he played maybe a year or two, but he was a free agent. But he wrote this film about his experiences and trying to kind of pivot and determine what his life was going to look like after his football career had ended. And shout out to Matthew Cherry as well, if he listens to this episode at any point, because he put one of my songs in that film. So I appreciate that. But one of the things that he highlighted in that film is that, even in the NFL, the contracts are not going to be guaranteed. And if you're not, playing that entire time, that money's not necessarily guaranteed either. So even if you hear someone is signed, a big, hey, they have $100 million deal for 10 years, but they only play for 6 months. They're not getting that money.
No, they're not.
Right?
They're not. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's some certain ins and outs, but yeah, $100 million contract isn't necessarily worth $100 million.
Right.
Or you don't actually make $100 million, even though it says it's worth $100 million.
Even though it says that. So what I've seen is, correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen, several athletes, former pro athletes, and people that have like that kind of background. I've seen typically if they enter into the financial services industry, into the insurance industry, they typically do extremely well, based on some of the fundamental just character traits, that came from that, right?
Correct.
Once again, you become the master of your own fate. Can you speak to just some of the things that you cultivated in yourself? You mentioned being competitive, you mentioned the sacrifices, but just maybe talk a little bit about, some of the things that you learned, during your athletic career, playing and coaching, cultivating your leadership skills that transition into building a successful business as well, especially early on, because that's the toughest time in this business.
Yeah. For sure. I think the biggest thing, let me say this, the biggest thing that a successful athlete, just because you didn't make it to the NFL or NBA does not mean that you're not successful. Not many do. It's like I said, it's tough. But I think that like some characteristics of what I always tell people is, hey, if you want your child, to develop certain characteristics, let them play a sport. And people always say why. One, because, they'll have that, they'll learn if they aren't competitive, they'll learn that you'll have to be competitive to be successful in life. Right. But the most important thing for me, man, I think is discipline and preparation. Discipline and preparation. Those were two things that were always, and I mean from my Muni League, my Little League head coach, is one of my favorite guys. He actually just passed away a couple of years ago. Rob J. That was my guy. Him and another young gentleman by the name of Gino Sternerman and a man by the name of Fred Baker. Those were my guys. They always discipline. The worst team isn't the team that has at least the worst athletes. The worst team is a team that doesn't have discipline. You can have the best 11 athletes on the field, but if that team is not disciplined, you can be beat on any given Sunday, right? Or any given Saturday, whenever you play your game. And that's the same thing that my high school coach taught me. And that's the same thing that the college coaches, you literally, when you make it to college, you don't have a choice. In order for you to step on the field, you have to be disciplined. You have to be both mentally and physically prepared to win football games. And that's 6 a.m. workouts, right? That's extra study, extra film study. That's making sure your grades are good enough to even make sure you're eligible, right? And then there's the physical piece of it. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. Of course, when you're playing sports, we say for battle, but when you're in the insurance realm, you have to be both mentally and physically prepared to gain new business, to build relationships. It's all about being disciplined and being prepared. If you're disciplined, if you set goals and you set steps to your goals and you're disciplined, you can accomplish those goals. The most entrepreneurs that end up not having a successful business, in most cases, in my experience, it's not because you had a terrible idea or because you didn't, it's because you weren't disciplined enough to stick to the plan. You weren't disciplined enough to stick to the plan. Something always got in the way of you accomplishing what you put down on your list, your checklist to check off. So if you can be disciplined and you can be prepared, because you have to be prepared, right? You have to be prepared for The good months. You have to be prepared for the bad months. You have to be prepared for rejection from clients.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared for that, right? What's your rebuttal? Because the first time is not always a charm in the insurance realm, right? It's not always a charm. So, you have to be prepared for rejection. Hey, this client tells me no, they don't want to spend $23 on a life insurance policy for the child. What's going to be my rebuttal? Well, hey, how often do you go out? Yeah, and grab a drink or go out to eat with your buddies. Oh, I go out 4 or 5 times a day. Hey, did you know that when you go out, if you buy a drink and you buy your buddy a drink, you just spent that $23 on your child's life insurance policy. What do you value more? That drink with your buddy or your child having life insurance, a protection plan? What's more important to you?
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, those are the big two: being disciplined and being prepared.
Discipline, being prepared. When you were starting your career, I love those two. Matter of fact, I think that's what this episode is going to be called: discipline and preparation.
I like it.
But when you were starting out as a new agent, like particularly when you started your firm, let's start there. Discipline. How did you apply that discipline, and how would you apply others? Was it hey, I got to make a certain amount of calls a day? Was it I got to get up at a certain time to start the day, or I don't stop until I've generated this amount of premium or have had this many presentations? What was your process?
You know what, man? My plan, I literally would. I did what I knew at the time, right? So I would wake up 5 a.m., get me a good workout in, clear my mind, collect my thoughts, and I'm hitting the ground running. Hey, I'm like, for all the agents, future agents, the easiest sales and the free ones are just look at your phone. Just look at your phone. You don't have to look any further. That's where you start. Just look at your phone.
That phone gets heavy.
It listen, it gets heavy, but you know what? It's a lot of money and a lot of policies in that phone.
That's right.
All you have to do is be disciplined, right? To do it every day. So I literally created an Excel sheet. I imported all my contacts out of my phone, put it in an Excel sheet, put days on here. Hey, I'm going to go through A's today, B's today, C's today, whatever that, I can't even remember what that plan was, but I'm going to make X amount of calls a day. I have my business cards. I'm going to pass out X amount of business cards a day. I'm going to meet, say hello, be kind, courteous to X amount of people. And that way it'll give me an icebreaker to pass out my business card, because there is not, the funny thing about an insurance, right? There is not one person that you'll pass that doesn't need it.
That's right. That's true.
So you literally don't have a reason to say, hey, I didn't see any clients today. No, you saw them all. You walk in a grocery store, you should have your business cards in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, hand somebody, like, if an elderly person needs help, hey, help them with their groceries, hand them a business card on the end. If you go out to eat, give them a solid tip, place your business card there. Just little, I can't give away all my secrets, but I'll give away a cup, you know what I mean? So
right.
you can always network.
Yes.
And literally, and if you want to be a successful producer in this industry, you have to network. You're not allowed to be shy, because if you're shy and you're not communicating with people and you're not networking, you're missing out on a lot of business.
Yeah. And I think for those that might have a natural inclination to be more introverted, but want to be successful in this business and want to explore it, it'll help you cultivate that soft skill of being able to communicate with people, right? Like taking you out of your comfort zone. you know, so because if you get uncomfortable, what starts as uncomfortable eventually will become comfortable.
That's that discipline. You have to be disciplined enough to say, hey, the first rejection, right, is not the last rejection. Right. And you have to be prepared as well. You have to be prepared enough to say, hey, I'm going to be prepared for rejection. But guess what? I'm going to have a counter move.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have a secondary counter to that counter move. Right. So, like, I mean, literally, it's funny because I was just having a conversation with one of my buddies. Like, hey, I would consider myself I like to think of my rebuttals. I'm like, hey, I'm like the Kyrie Irving of, when it comes to his handles, right? He's always got a primary move, a secondary move, a third move. This guy does it, hit the way he dribbles and breaks down a defender is it's like an art form, or if you watch Floyd Mayweather, the way, he feints and, he kind of, the way he moves defensively and baits his, he used to bait his opponents, into doing what he wants them to do. And by all means, I'm not dating my clients into buying policies because, I'm educating them as well.
Yeah.
And we need it. So it's not like a trick that I'm to where I'm kind of just tricking them into getting something they don't need. It's something that they actually need.
Right.
And sometimes, they need a little push or they need a little bit more information so that they can understand, hey, you know what, this guy's right.
Yeah.
I do need a life insurance policy. I do need to increase my car insurance because I have state minimums, but my net worth is $250,000. Somebody could sue me and I would need extra insurance. So I am going to get an umbrella policy. So, those are things, like I said, you have to be, you got to be quick on your feet. But, you have to be like, I take pride in being upfront, honest. But like I said, that comes with being disciplined and being prepared.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you said, it's not a matter of, trying to, persuade someone to do something or get or manipulate them into purchasing. It really is that process of getting people to think about things they don't normally think about.
Yeah. It's a process of understanding. And because, like I said, before I got into the insurance industry, I didn't understand it. Even my first 2 to 3 years, you learn something every day in the insurance world. But the basics of it, I mean, hey, I didn't know, hey, I got 2550. Hey, my deductible's 500. Nobody really knows these things if it's not broken down to you, so like right now, my focus is life insurance. And and making sure that I'm educating the people in my community, friends, family, neighbors, so on and so forth, just the importance of it. Tired of going on Instagram or Facebook and seeing GoFundMe's.
Yeah, man.
Little things like that kind of drives me to say, hey, I need to do more.
Absolutely.
And there's a saying like, hey, you can't help everybody. In my industry, you can. So I disagree. I can actually sell everybody. I can actually get everybody I know a life insurance policy. I actually can. I literally can do that. So why would I not? Not to make money, but to help you or them.
That's right.
Because two things for sure, one thing's for certain. Once you're born and you're living, you're gonna die. Unfortunately, that's how life works. So, why not not necessarily benefit off of a death, but why not be prepared for a death? Especially if you have loved ones that you want to take care of. Hey, you that's an opportunity where you can possibly help them, even though you're not here to physically help them. But there's a way that you can look out for them still.
Yeah. And you're building generational wealth too, and protecting assets.
Generational wealth, protecting assets. There's a lot of different things that, from on the life insurance side that you can do and you're not even knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like I said, that's a part of that educational piece that I talk to my clients about, time and time again.
Yes.
Generational wealth is more important. Hey, we say, hey, as African Americans, we say we're behind the eight ball, which quite honestly is true. We don't have to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. Like, hey, we don't have to stay there. What are we doing to make sure that we're not staying there? And something as little as purchasing a life insurance policy to possibly build generational wealth it could be something that minute or it can be something huge, but it's definitely one of those stepping stones that should be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So at this stage in your career, you've made a transition. You made a transition successfully,
Mm-hmm.
into your own firm, continuing to build and scale it. Is that what keeps you motivated at this point to continue to move forward and to keep building?
What keeps me motivated more than anything is, like I said, just having the ability to help my people.
Yeah.
Just having that ability to help them and not help them in something that's super cool or popular, because the insurance realm, insurance industry is, most people think it's boring. And most people have no interest. And for me, it's like, hey, I'm going to do that because one, I know that, we're not really educated in that realm. So I take pride in helping people understand what's going on with their car insurance policies, with their homeowners policies, with their business policies, with their life insurance policies. I take pride in making sure that, hey, whether you're going to be my client or whether you're going to be somebody else's client, let's get you educated. Let's get you educated, because this is something it's not always easy to understand. And most of the time, it's not like this is something that's taught in elementary or high school,
mm-hmm.
To where we'll have like a small foundation. No, it's literally, you learn this as an adult. And for most adults, it's like trying to learn a foreign language at the age of 25 years old. You know what I mean? So it's like, what? Deductible, what does that mean? Liability, why is that? What does this mean? Why is this here? How does that even work? It becomes a big maze and a big puzzle that, quite frankly, if a licensed individual needs to help you solve that problem, and provide a solution, and I love to be the guy to get it done for.
Absolutely. So, Diauntae, I'll tell you, man, I'm really, enjoying the conversation, the insights, the motivation, for the business, the passion that I can tell that you have, for your clients, for your service, for, doing something good in the community as well. I want to ask a question as we begin to turn the corner and bring the interview to a close.
Okay.
How do you feel like, if in any way, having the insurance license or joining this industry has changed you or helped you as a person?
That's a good question. I think I've always enjoyed helping people, right? But I think this allows me an avenue to where I can literally help everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without having to pick a side or, you know, choose one group over the next group. I can literally help every individual that wants or needs help, and even the ones that don't want or need help, I can help them as well. Um, I can help educate them on just little things in the insurance realm, and you know, like it just confirmed with me that hey, you love interacting with people,
Yeah.
you love networking with people. Um, this is something you're great at. This is something you're passionate about. Um, and hey, guess what? You get to make a little money while doing it.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So at this point in your career, in your life, you know, you built a business, you know, you're a father, you like I said, you're still mentoring other individuals. What, you know, what's the dream now? What's the goal? What's the big picture for Diauntae Morrow?
The dream now was the dream when I first started creating this business plan, to build and mentor individuals in this realm, help all of our minority agents, our brokers, be a mentor to them, you know, give them my expertise and my opinion on some things, build something I would like to build something that's bigger than myself. Help individuals, provide opportunities for the individuals. I'm in the midst of, I have a group of brokers that I'm working with now to kind of get them licensed, bring them aboard, and show them the way and help them not be just like me, but be better than me.
Yeah.
You know, most people say, hey, I'm a firm believer in if you're going to groom a predecessor, right? The predecessor should be better than you. You know, they should have more skills than you. They should take their skills, put it with your experience, create their own super person or superpowers or whatever the case may be. You should be, hey, I want you to be more successful than me. So my goal now is to build and expand and provide opportunities for other individuals, especially our African American young men and women. You know, I'm always going to have a passion for former athletes. So you know, if you're a former athlete that you're looking to find your way, you know, I would assist with that. I provide an opportunity for you to make some, of course, make some money, but to also to kind of learn your skills. Everybody needs to have great sales skills. I tell anybody that I come into contact with, hey, whether you know it or not, you market yourself every day.
Yeah.
It's just on the intention of it. What's your intent? What's your purpose behind it?
Yeah. Love that. So somebody new, as we close. So if there's somebody who's watching this, listening to this conversation, or maybe they're watching it on the YouTube channel, and they are, you know, kind of on the fence, they're thinking about joining the industry. They're trying to figure out maybe what to expect. Maybe they joined a company and they're new. They're having some rough experiences, some rough patches. What type of advice or guidance, you know, would you give to that person?
What I would tell them to always, before you get into the industry, if you're not in it, do your research. That's part of that preparation piece, right? Always do your research. Don't just take somebody's word for it, because their passion and their motivation may not be yours. There are multiple reasons for being in this industry. You can make a lot of money. You can help a lot of people. What's your true intention? What's your purpose? Secondly, don't be afraid of rejection. you know, always be confident in yourself. Don't never compare your status or where you are to the next person, because everything happens when it's supposed to happen. But in the same token, in this realm, you can make it happen. Be disciplined, be mentally and physically prepared, and you can make it happen.
That's it.
The sky's the limit in this industry. If you're looking to get in, do it now.
No better time than the present. That's right.
No better time than the present. Carpe diem, right?
Diauntae, if someone is listening and maybe they want to reach out to you, maybe they're in the Cleveland area or they're close by, and they want to get started in the industry, they're looking for a mentor, looking for some guidance. How do folks get in contact with you? How do they stay in touch with you?
You can contact me on Instagram, The Real Insurance Coach. That's my Instagram tag. You can feel free to email me. Everything. I mainly usually use Instagram. That's how most people contact me. So my website, www.morrow, group, GROUPCO.com. Those are the two main ways. You can send me a Google review or a Google message. I'm on Google as well. My business is on Google listed as a business. So you can contact me in multiple ways. Don't be shy. Feel free to reach out. Any questions? I'm an open book. So just reach out.
Brother Diauntae, I appreciate you, today, sharing your story, sharing your insights and wisdom from the time that you've been in the business, but taking the character and the things that you've developed over the years and applying those things to your firm, and continuing to just be a presence and a voice out there. Like I mentioned before, you represent, 3%, of this industry, being a principal. So it means a lot, to have you on the platform. I'm appreciative. I know this is going to touch somebody and spark something within someone, and they will, have their own revelation and think to themselves, maybe, they should get a license themselves. So once again, thank you. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for being present in this conversation. And as mentioned, maybe you heard something, today that made you think, you should get a license. Until next time, take care.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you, bro.